As of 36 minutes ago, we're no longer kids.
We've got to make every minute count.
What if this is our last summer together?
When you decide what kind of man you want to be, the world locks you into it.
You chase everything away.
Didn't do anything.
My whole life is revolved around what you can't do.
Choose your company wisely.
Grime Kids. Press red for all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
This is where we begin.
This game belongs to all of us.
It's a simply stunning goal.
The young and the old, they're all getting in on the celebrations.
The FA Cup second round starts with York City v Wigan Athletic, Friday at 7:30 on BBC Two and iPlayer.
This is your first time in prison. Love you lot. If you loved us, you wouldn't be in jail.
What am I gonna do?
Will you seek revenge, Abby?
You really expect me to answer that?
Time. Press red for all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
On BBC Sound, you'll find the Total Sport podcast. In the latest series, 7, Rob Burrow, the rugby legend, chats to Johnny Wilkinson and Wayne Rooney. Now on BBC One, the Tea Time News with Ben Brown.
Good afternoon. The armed wing of Hamas says it is delaying the second round of hostage releases from Gaza that had been expected this afternoon. It says the delay is until Israel commits to allowing aid trucks to enter northern Gaza. Well, 14 Israelis were due to have been freed today and handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross. They were to have made their way out of Gaza through the Rafah crossing into Egypt before having medical checks and then being reunited with their families in Israel. Well, in return, Israel had been due to release 42 Palestinian prisoners near Ramallah in the West Bank. Well, this was the scene a short time ago at the Rafah crossing where the hostages had been expected. And this is the prison in the West Bank where the Palestinian detainees were due to have been released in return. Well, all this comes after yesterday's exchange, which saw the release of 24 hostages and 39 Palestinian prisoners. Our senior international correspondent, Orla Guerin, sent us this report.
Racing into his father's arms, 9-year-old Ohad, followed by his mother, Karen, and his grandmother, Ruti, who is 78. 3 generations of one family who were held hostage. Ruti's husband still is. And crowded onto one bed, the Ashers. Did you miss me? Yoni asks. Did you think about Daddy? I dreamt about going home, says Raz, who's 4. Your dream came true, he says. We're going home soon. Raz was held with her mother, Doron, and baby sister, Aviv. For the families of the 13 Israeli hostages released yesterday, there is joy and relief, but also pain because of those left behind. And this message from Ohad's brother, Roe Zikri. It's very important to clarify that while we are happy today, we are not celebrating, he says, because other hostages are still in captivity. We need to free every last one. In Gaza, it's time to count the cost of weeks of Israeli bombardment. The ceasefire means Palestinians have been able to return to Jabalia in the north, the largest camp in Gaza, or what's left of it. We are unarmed, says Mahmoud Massoud. We are civilians. We don't carry weapons and we don't resist. Why have they destroyed our houses? Why are they killing our children? But for Palestinians too, joyous homecomings in the West Bank after prisoners were released from Israeli jails, most of them women. A few dozen more are expected to be freed tonight. First, the next group of hostages should be crossing this border from Gaza, but Hamas has delayed their release, claiming Israel has violated the truce agreement. Israel denies this.
Well, Orla joins us live now from Tel Aviv. Orla, how concerned should we be by this delay?
Well, for now, Ben, it's a standoff. Hamas is saying it will not allow the next group of hostages out of Gaza because it claims Israel has breached the agreement on several fronts. It says it only allowed 3 aid trucks into northern Gaza out of 100. It claims Israel has been flying surveillance drones over southern Gaza, which it's not supposed to do. And it also says that 2 Palestinians have been killed by Israel inside the Gaza Strip. Now, Israel is denying that any violations of the ceasefire have agreed. We have several more hours tonight in which this batch of hostages, the second group, could be allowed through the border. And I think it's important to note that neither side is saying at the moment that the deal is off. This is a delay. It may simply be posturing or bargaining on the part of Hamas. It may be an attempt to extract some more concessions, but we're not getting indications from either side that the deal is at serious risk at the moment. I think if we were to reach midnight local time and no Israeli hostages have come out of Gaza, then that would be a different story. But also important to say this is agonizing, Ben, for the families of those who are supposed to come out tonight. Israel received a list yesterday with 13 names. Those families were told, those families are waiting. They know their loved ones are supposed to be in ICRC vehicles coming across that border. And obviously for them, every minute of delay is really an additional agony.
OK, Orla, thank you very much. Orla Guerin there, our senior international correspondent with the latest from Tel Aviv. And just to say, to find out what might happen after the truce ends, you can read our Israel-Gaza briefing on the BBC News website. That's at bbc.co.uk/news. Here, tens of thousands of demonstrators have joined a march in central London calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Organisers claim 300,000 people took part in the march. Before the start of the demonstration, police handed out leaflets warning against the use of words or images that could break the law. The Metropolitan Police say that 2 people have been arrested for supporting a proscribed organisation and 4 others for inciting racial hatred. In Ukraine, the capital Kyiv has been hit by what the authorities there say is the largest Russian drone attack since the war began last year. Ukraine's military claim that 74 out of 75 drones were shot down by their air defences. Our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse is in Kyiv for us this afternoon. James.
Ben, this time last year, Kyiv was getting hit on an almost daily basis as Russia tried to suppress the population with near constant missile strikes. This time around, that has not happened, leading to fears that it was once more stockpiling weapons. Those worries were realised very abruptly this morning, and as a warning, our report contains flashing images from the start. The illumination of Kyiv's air defences, trying to keep out wave after wave of Russian drone attacks. It's a desperate 6-hour game of search and destroy. An assault designed to exhaust and overwhelm. Even when they're intercepted, the debris can still be a threat. Ukraine has resisted Russian attempts to target infrastructure before, but they still take a toll.
The blast was very powerful. It even blew out the entrance metallic door.
We would have been buried by the doors because the strength of the blast was immense.
In the northeast Luhansk region, there are still hard-fought gains and losses. It's the story of the 700-mile front line. Today, President Zelensky was at a Holodomor remembrance service in Kyiv to commemorate when millions of Ukrainians were starved to death under the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Evil was not stopped, he said, was not atoned for, and now we are stopping it. His country still faces a threat from Moscow today, and he's still urging the world to unite against it. James Waterhouse, BBC News, Kyiv.
OK, we can catch up on all the day's sports news now. Let's go to Carthy at the BBC Sports Centre. Evening to you.
Evening, Ben. Thank you very much. The top two sides in the Premier League met this afternoon, but Manchester City and Liverpool had to be satisfied with a point each after a 1-1 draw. The results mean City remain 1 point ahead of Liverpool at the top of the table, as Joe Curry reports.
The showdown that would dictate who sat top of the table. If Liverpool needed reminding of City's dominance in the last 12 months, the 4 trophy banners on the pitch were a sure prompt. Undeterred, the visitors posed the first danger. Darwin Núñez flicking on his header, but with not quite enough power. Lived. What initially appeared to be a fumble by Alisson turned out to be a foul on the goalkeeper. For Liverpool,
Arsenal could leapfrog above both of those sides with a win over Brentford this evening. That game kicked off 5 minutes ago and it is still 0-0. At the other end of the table, bottom side Burnley lost 2-1 to West Ham. There were wins, though, for Luton, Newcastle United, Brighton and Bournemouth. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic were held to a 1-1 draw at home by Motherwell, but are 9 points ahead of second-place Rangers. And there were wins for Hibernian, Hearts and St Mirren. The final race of the Formula 1 season takes place in Abu Dhabi tomorrow, and unsurprisingly, Max Verstappen will be on pole. It's the Red Bull driver's 12th pole position in 22 races. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start in second place, with Oscar Piastri in third for the Grand Prix. Verstappen has already won this year's Formula 1 World Championship. To rugby union, and it was an emotional afternoon at Kingsholm with Gloucester and Leicester's Premiership game doubling up as the Ed Slater Cup. Slater, who played for both teams, retired from rugby last year after being diagnosed with motor neuron disease. Leicester retained the cup with a bonus point 38-20 win over Gloucester. And in tennis's Davis Cup final, Jannik Sinner beat Novak Djokovic in 3 sets, which means the semi-final between Italy and Serbia will be decided by the doubles. That's all from the BBC Sports Centre for now, Ben.
Carthy, thank you very much. And there is more throughout the evening on the BBC News channel. We will be back with the late news at 10 o'clock. Now on BBC One, it's time for a look at the news where you are. Do have a very good evening.
Welcome to BBC London, I'm Alpa Batel. As events move quickly in the Middle East, here in London, tens of thousands of people are once again on the streets of central London, calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. The march began on Park Lane and ended in Whitehall. Today, the Metropolitan Police handed out leaflets, providing what they say is absolute clarity on what is considered an offence. Thomas McGill was there and sent this report.
London streets, again the focus of a pro-Palestinian march. Patricia has travelled from Hastings, compelled to campaign after getting to know people from Gaza in recent years, who she says are now missing.
We've twinned ourselves with a similar town or village in Gaza, which is Al-Mawasi, and they've become our friends.
Wow.
And some of them are missing now, possibly dead, and it's heartbreaking.
Free Palestine!
Among the crowd were people from all sorts of communities, all with one united message, demanding an end to the killing of those in Gaza.
My auntie's in Gaza, her home's been bombed, she hasn't even got a change of clothes. The images that I see on social media that aren't on the mainstream news break my heart every day.
This is not acceptable.
This is not our values, this is not what we stand for as British people, and this is not what we stand for as humans. So that's why we're all here, and we're bringing our children. They need to witness this because they will not silence us.
Well, there are 1,500 officers on duty today. Many have been giving out leaflets to the crowd, advising about chants, slogans and phrases that won't be tolerated. And in a briefing yesterday, the Met say that this will offer absolute clarity about what is acceptable.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Today's march was largely good-spirited, with people focused on peace and hope that an end to the bloodshed will come soon.
I'm here because I lived in Palestine 10 years ago. I have Palestinian daughters, and I'm absolutely horrified that the Western world is watching another genocide unfold. A humanitarian pause is not enough. That's why we're here, and we'll keep coming here.
The Metropolitan Police say it's being supported by around 500 officers from other forces around the country this weekend. Many will also be at tomorrow's march against anti-Semitism, when thousands of protesters are expected back onto London streets. Thomas McGill, BBC London.
Well, for more on the protests and the developments in Israel and Gaza, you can visit our website or the BBC News app. The popular Soho bar GAY Late is to close in December. The owner, Jeremy Joseph, said he had made the decision for a number of reasons, including a rise in attacks on staff and customers leaving the bar late at night and ongoing building work nearby. Those concerns have been echoed by others in the industry.
It's extremely sad to hear that such an iconic venue, particularly an LGBTQ+ venue, has been lost in the capital, and it really sort of resonates and underscores the fragility of businesses within the nightlife sector. So I think this, sadly, is the start of some business losses that are going to escalate as we move into the January period.
Finally, to the Christmas tree, which will soon be taking centre stage in central London. It was cut down in Oslo and from next month will stand in Trafalgar Square. It's an annual gift from Norway as a token of thanks for Britain's support during the Second World War. Time for the weather now. Here's Corsa.
Hello, good evening. Well, it was a bright, breezy day today with plenty in the way of sunshine, but it is all set to change as we look ahead to the rest of this weekend. It stays cold, but it will become cloudier from the west with some patchy rain, but dry for the time being. And under the clearer skies overnight tonight, it will turn chilly. Temperatures once again dipping close to freezing or below, and there may be some patches of freezing fog. So a chilly start to the day tomorrow, a bright start for some of us in the east, but cloud will build in quite quickly from the west, and with it some outbreaks of patchy rain to end the day. And temperatures tomorrow still reaching around 6 to 8 Celsius. So it will be quite a wet night to come on Sunday night, and Monday too. During the morning, some outbreaks of heavy rain, becoming patchier later in the day, but staying cold throughout next week.
That's it from me and the team, from all of us here. Enjoy what's left of your evening, won't you? Bye-bye for now.
Hello. Well, it's been a glorious day of weather for the vast majority of the country with lots of blue skies and sunshine, not a great deal of cloud in the sky. What a stunning picture here from Cumbria. It was a freezing cold start to the day, though, of course. The frost widespread and sharp, or should that be Shap? Temperatures got down to -7 in Shap. That's in Cumbria. That was one of the coldest spots in the UK. Benson, Oxfordshire, -7 as well. Now, overnight tonight, we're going to keep clear skies initially, and that's going to allow temperatures to fall like a stone. So again, the frost will be widespread, but later in the night, a bit more cloud works into western areas, and so the frost should begin to lift here as some damp weather works in across Northern Ireland. On into Sunday's forecast, should keep a lot of sunshine for Scotland and most of England through the morning, although further west we'll have this damp weather spilling its way into Northern Ireland, Wales and western areas of England. I think with this rain